Okay, I got it right this morning. Finally got it. Finally got it. Good morning, everyone. It's Tuesday, 80 degrees, little after 8 o'clock in the morning here in South Florida, and 80 degrees. How you get 80-degree weather at 8 o'clock in the morning? It's just the way it is. I don't know where you all are at right now, but it's 80-degree weather where I'm at. 80 degree. Um, it's just the way it is, but it's a clear sky. I don't know where you are, but however the weather is with you, we pray that all is well. So, looking at the news, a lot going on, a lot going on in the news, a lot going on. So, how you doing, Drama Queen? You say it's 26 degrees? Oh my gosh. I don't know that I would know what to do in 26-degree weather. Let me write my screen here. I apologize for that. 26 degrees. I can't remember the last time I saw 26-degree weather. I just don't. I'm sorry. I just want to make sure my screen for the camera is clear. Okay. I can't remember the last time I've been in 26-degree weather. That is cold. That's cold. So our prayers are with you when you're out there, whether you have to go to work or what time you go to work or whatever you're doing that will cause you to have to go out in the snow. Oh my gosh. So our prayers are with you and everyone that's dealing with the cold across the country. Certainly our hats are off to you. Just want to leave you a thought for today. Um, we're coming in and approaching our feast days. It's about 2 months off, 2 months off, but there's certain things that you start to want to do and get in preparation for that. And, you know, start to read up on it, start to understand it more, and so answer. One of the things we're going to do is um, one of the things we're going to do is we're going to change our Zoom platform soon. This is going to be exciting. The Zoom platform is going to be exciting because we're going to have an 800 number. You're going to be able to call in live, and that's going to be a very unique feature. So when we have Q&A, question and answer times, you'll be able to pretty much ask a question live by calling the 800 number. We'll be able to get you, talk to you, and that's going to be very good when we have panel members that we invite. You'll be able to talk to the panel members and get more information. So that's what's coming up. This is coming up soon, and I'm working on it. I'm looking into it. I'm talking to the Zoom techs about it, what we need to do, and just to get it kind of going. So it's going to be a voice over IP. So um, I do have the right. It requires a certain line in your office um, that can handle that. A certain um, um, internet speed, and I do have that. I think I'm. If I don't have it, I'm almost there. So you got to have like this megahertz speed when you do this stuff. It's not easy. Um, and then you got to have it where you'll be able to take multiple calls or somebody can be put on hold. Um, And being that we're global and everything's global, um, you got to have people there that can take the calls and put you on hold and stuff like that. So, good morning, Tia. Um, I see where Drama Queen says 26 degrees. I wanted to mention that again. Whew. That weather like that is too cold to make a snowman. It's too cold. You can't even make a. That's when, if it is snow on the ground, it's too cold for the snow. The snow is frozen. So, how you doing, Etta? So that's some rough weather. So that's what's coming to our Zoom format on Friday nights. It won't happen in the next few weeks, but I'm hoping that it's going to happen in the next month or so. When we do Q&A, where you can ask a question and we could analyze that question and give you a biblical answers. I don't believe in giving one answer, one scripture answers. I like to give multiple scriptures. That's how the Bible works. You know, there's not one verse for an answer. There are multiple verses for an answer. And that's how you have to do the Bible. You have to study that way. You have to find multiple answers per question. And that's what we call line upon line, precept upon precept. But the Bible has a code, and it says, let every fact be established by 2 or 3 witnesses. That's the way things have to be. It must have 2 or 3 witnesses. It's got to. And it's almost like in the court of law. You know, you're going to find somebody guilty, you got to have 2 or 3 witnesses. You can't just have one eyewitness. Because then it could be their word against the other person's word. And who's most credible. So that's how things like that work. So there's a video circulating around, and trying to look at the authenticity of the video. Someone sent it to me, and it's certain words, at least certain words in the video show that, and it's about the Pope. He gets on, he's talking, and he says, hey, I want to leave you all this special video. I want to let you know that this is coming from the heart. And he says that he starts off in English, but he starts to speak in Italian because he says he's more comfortable because he wants to come from the heart. And what he says is that that the Sabbath is right, and that this is the end time. He goes into all of that. And says that follow the Sabbath. So I don't know. I don't know. I know that there are written documents where the Catholic Church has, or the Roman Church has written, and they said that the Sabbath is the true day of worship. So we know that that does exist. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. So I'm looking at the authenticity. Yes, and he said to keep the 10 Commandments. So there's a lot there to look at and to consider. It's the first oral, meaning verbal acknowledgement that the Roman Church has acknowledged that the commandments are right. I've seen things in written documents that they wrote, that they have put in. but not in oral. So, nonetheless, I'm going to be coming a few times today. Um, in the meantime, I want to say to all of you, peace, and we'll talk real soon. We got a lot to talk about. I think it's going to be great. How you doing? Oh my God, there's my brother. How you doing, man? We've been saying some great things about you. Um, we just put out a post video of the conference. We just did that, and we was just sharing with so many people the hospitality. This is Minister Anthony Douglas, who's on the line with us in the chat room, and we were just sharing with people in some of our past live car cams um, that just the hospitality that you, your family, how gifted you all are, and just a blessing. So we was just sharing that. And then, of course, we did the video, and we started off the video with Elder Douglas's brother-in-law and wife. And so it's good. He's from Ohio, and but it was great. It was great. I don't know, how's the weather there, my brother? I think it's about maybe 60 degrees. I don't know. I know it can't be. I know it can't be cold there, because when we were in South Carolina, the weather was 76 degrees on Thursday. It didn't get cold until later on. Um, so, um, waiting for the sleet. Wow. I hope y'all don't have sleet there. Ooh, that's rough. I hope you don't have sleet. If you got sleet, that's bad. Oh, let me say this. Y'all know I always give you my news report when I watch the news. I always give that report to you. In case you all don't get a chance to watch it, I always give you my assessment of it from a biblical standpoint. So everybody is upset with Drama Queen says in New Jersey, but she says it's sunny, but 26 degrees. There's a couple of things to watch on the news. Watch Brexit. It's called Brexit. Watch the Brexit. What's happening with Brexit is that that's Britain exiting out of the European Union. As you know, in Europe, most of the countries, the 10 main countries, some people say, well, it's more than 10, because a lot of those countries come under England. Okay, like Scotland, Ireland, so forth. They're linked with Britain. But when Britain leaves out of the European Union, the 10 toes is two materials, clay and I believe clay and steel, or clay and brass. Well, they don't formulate together. They can't be together. It's like you can't stick them together and they'll stick together, when you put them together. And so what happens is they're not going to stay together. So Europe is going to go through whatever Europe is going to go through. And what is going to happen is when Europe goes through, which it's going to be fragmented. What's going to cause Europe to fragment is it's just going to cause the European Union to be unstable, in my opinion. Several reasons. Britain is a major part of the continent of Europe, and if they're not a part of the union agreement, then they can do whatever they want when it comes to trade, when it comes to having their own money, and immigration. Immigration is very, very big. It's going to be a very, very big issue. I take my time to explain these things to you so that you can understand why it will cause chaos. When you look at Britain and Europe, being that Britain is a major player in Europe, when it comes to people traveling, most people travel freely through the European Union countries like Italy, Germany. You can just drive all throughout those areas. You can drive into one country, into the next. Whereas, from a United States perspective, you can drive to Canada or you can drive to Mexico. That's it. To the north and to the south. And you got borders that you have to stop and you got to show identity. They have to do the same thing coming in and vice versa. Whereas in Europe, when it comes to trade and trucking and all like that, they don't have to do that. They can just all the way through, all the way through. And so what happens is, because that's easily done in Europe, that's because of the agreement that they have as members of the European Union. So a truck having apples from Italy or France can drive through and drop off a load of apples in a factory in London. Okay? It won't be able to do that anymore. Won't be able to do that. Once London or Britain comes out of that European Union, then they have to go through checkpoints. The issue is they don't know how they're going to do it. You can't just do it overnight because you've been doing it this way. How do you do it? How do you do it slowly? Do you phase it in, phase it out? And that's what's going to have to happen. And the issue is now is Europe has already voted as a people to come out of the union. So it's law, it's policy. Their people voted. Their residents, their citizens says, we don't want to be a part of the union anymore. It's hurting our pound. And they were very mixed on coming out. So now that they're out of the European Union, they've taken the vote because they entered in by agreement. You got to exit out by agreement. And that's why they call it Brexit. Britain is exiting, so they call it Brexit. So they have to present an agreement by the 29th of March of this year. Now, when they voted to come out a few years ago, they had 24 months to present the union with the other European countries that council with an agreement so that they can look at it and negotiate it and what have you, because it has to be voted on by every member that's a part of that union. So there's certain people from each country that's a representative. They take it back to their various presidents and ministers and say, do you with London's or Britain's exit plan. And if they don't, you got to give them enough time to come up with an agreement to agree with. The issue is that Britain cannot come up with their own written agreement. They cannot agree internally because they have other countries that are under them, such as Scotland. Um, you've got Ireland. A lot's going on, and so how do you come up with a plan? You know, at what point in time do you tell people that they've got a certain time to register as an immigrant, because you're not part of Europe anymore. Britain won't be. They won't be a part of the Union. I mean, their country is in the European continent. It's in Europe, but they're not a part of the Union. So you got people that are from Turkey. You got people from Italy, because Britain is a well-developed country with schools and commerce and business opportunities, educational opportunities. People live there. They can leave their country and say, okay, I'm going to go to London and I'm going to go to college here. And you got people in London who says, you know what, I'm going to college in France. So that's pretty much how do you break those things down? Now you got to get an education visa. So just like you come to the United States, you can't just jump on a plane and say, I'm going to college. I'm going to leave. I'm going to leave Jamaica and I'm going to go to college in the United States. It don't work that way. You got to get a student visa. You got to be approved for it. You got to get an application. All of that. So it's just not that easy. Somebody asked a question. Pastor Johnson, did you know that they are trying to outlaw the Bible in Congress? Well, I have not heard that, but that's unconstitutional. It's unconstitutional. And let me just tell you this. There's certain laws that when you have a constitution, nobody can outlaw. You can't make a law that will go against an existing law. You can't enact a law that will break an existing law. For instance, let me give you an example. Breaking in someone's house is a burglary. That's all over the land. So you can't say we're going to enact a law that will legalize burglary. You can't do that. It's like you see the argument about guns. Some people say it's a constitutional right to bear arms. And that's a part of our Constitution. The freedom to bear arms, the freedom of speech, the freedom of religion. Now, so you could say we're not going to swear on the Bible anymore. You can do that, but you cannot ban the Bible. You cannot say that the Bible is a book that cannot be utilized anymore. So let me see. So I hope I'm bringing some clarity to that. So, because what you're saying is not the first time that I've heard this come up in social media. It's come up several times, but someone will say, I'll give you an example. When they banned prayer out of the schools, they said that it was unconstitutional. Well, They took it, the lady who had no children took it all the way to the Supreme Court. Now remember, the judicial branch of our government interprets law. They cannot change law. They cannot make law. They can only interpret law. So if somebody says, this is how I see the law because this has never come up before, or this situation has never come up before, you got to take it through the courts. The highest court of the land is the Supreme Court. For instance, it is always stated that people have a right and they should not be discriminated against. Well, same sex took it all the way to the Supreme Court. But because the law did not define that the Constitution does not say that marriage is exclusively man and woman, the Supreme Court says, well, since the law does not exclusively say that same-sex cannot get married, it's a right, because America is a country based upon the freedom of rights. It's the freedom of rights. So, sorry about that. People will be able to marry animals, and the animals can be a part of their estate. And I think that's already been challenged, where someone left their dog the money instead of their children. And the children tried to say that a dog is not a human. And the Supreme Court says that animal has rights. It's our country, the law says, it didn't say human rights, it just says rights. So that's why you have the animal lovers' rights. That's why these things pop up. Because people use the lack of definition in the law to support what they're doing. So yes, you can say we're not going to use the Bible and religion in schools or in our government anymore. And okay, but it still does not stop the freedom of religion. The freedom of religion in America is a constitutional right that not even the Supreme Court can change. You can't change it. So the Bible will never and can never be a book that can be banned, because it's freedom of freedom of speech, freedom of press. When you look at the 14th Amendment and your various titles that's in those laws, freedom of press is it. So they can do that. Now, the press can say, you know what, let's not print any more Bibles. They can do that, which means somebody then has to take the Bible, because the Bible doesn't have rights. There's no copyright to the Bible. If you notice, they got a new Bible out called the Queen James Version. Queen James Version. And somebody created a new Bible. And it's out there. It's on the market. And it's the Rainbow Coalition Bible. And it takes the same Bible. A lot of it is the same. But when it comes to certain laws pertaining to how it's read, they can do that. So you have to take your Bible so that could happen. That could happen where somebody could do that. But the issue is the Bible is and has always been the #1 selling book in the world, the King James Version Bible. It's the #1 selling book in the world. And so there's something about money and Some people just not going to let that go. They're not going to stop the opportunity to make some money. So, yeah, I know the issue with what's happening, and let me just, it came to my mind. Let me tell you what's happening in California. So what somebody said was that you can't have what they call a hate book. A hate book. So a hate book is a book that you, if it's classified as a, if the material or, but again, it's ambiguous. It's ambiguous. What I mean by ambiguous, it's two different things. And when something is ambiguous, the trend has been is that you leave it alone. So here's what it is. You're going to enact a law that says that any hate material will be considered a crime. They call it a hate crime, okay? The issue is there's freedom of press. Freedom of press. So that's one of those laws that you're enacting that you're saying you cannot promote a hate crime. In the classification of a hate crime is an overt act against somebody that causes physical harm to somebody, not emotional, physical. And it causes damage to someone. The issue is, on a job, you cannot, if a person can say, you posted material that was anti whatever, and I feel, how can I say it? I feel uncomfortable at my job because the job is promoting hatred. So a job has an obligation with 10 or more employees. You now have an obligation to make the place where it's not workplace violence, where something is being promoted. For instance, a job cannot let people just come in during Black History Month or any time and put up a noose and say, I want to put a noose. We're going to put a noose out there. Well, like the guy did at General Motors. He says that he went to personnel and he says, somebody put a noose out there and it's, I feel in danger. And so they removed it. And then they put out a memo and they said, don't do this. Well, it continued to happen. Well, he sued the job. He's suing because he says you're subjecting me as an employee to workplace violence. And they're probably going to win because they say that the company has an obligation to make sure that does not exist. How you would use that with the Bible, and by banning the Bible, you could say the Bible is not allowed to be taught in a workplace in a manner in which it causes harm to others. And that's what we call separation of religion and state and religion. There's a separation of that. So the government does not interfere with religion, and religion cannot interfere with the government. That's always been our, there's a separation of, I said religion, it's really church and state. There's a separation of church and state. So the state cannot run the church, and the church cannot run the state. That's the way it is. That's a part of our Constitution. So um, these things come up every so often. It doesn't mean that the Most High's people are going to have it smooth and we're not going to go through anything. We're going to go through something. Believers are going through something right now in America. Right now. Right now in America. You cannot speak against certain people. You cannot say certain things. Not like you used to. Not like you used to. Can't do it. If you do it, you can actually be sued for it. So our freedom of where we say it and when we can say it is those borders are being taken away. So you can't pray in the school anymore. Pretty soon, you're not going to be able to pray in your job. You're not going to be able to put up religious material in your job anymore. Those things are going to happen. I can tell you that. But the Bible, there's no need to ban the Bible. People are not going to do it anyway. They can read the Bible already, and they're not going to do it. I believe that Brother Elder said, Douglas says, I believe that we are living in a system that is designed to keep us in a box, to control us, and to keep us in a certain mindset. Oh, absolutely. This is why I don't like going along with everything that the media says. I really don't. Because let me tell you what's happening. When you watch CNN, they don't fairly report what Trump is doing. It's persuasive to be from a Democratic point of view. When you watch Fox News, everything they say is reported in favor of Trump because their news is from a Republican point of view. Some networks try to be liberal or conservative or non-biased or bipartisan, however you want to say it, but they're really not. Even Fox tries to promote that everything that they do is not from a Republican view. They say, well, we do have shows that give you news from a Republican perspective, like Sean Hannity. Everything he's going to say is going to be pro-Republican, pro-Trump. But then you can look on CNN, everything that Don Lemon says is going to be pro-Democrat and anti-Trump. Everything. He will never be pro-Trump on anything. That's just the way it is. And CNN can say, well, that's why we call it CNN with Don Lemon. It's his point of view. But they pay Don Lemon. They brought Don Lemon on the show. But they fired a brother for giving his viewpoint about what's happening in Israel. You saw what happened to him. They fired him. So all these shows that they say that's from their point of view, they're reporting what they are told to report. They're given the freedom to do what they do by permission. If Don Lemon said something that rubbed somebody the wrong way in the Democratic Party or structure, he'll be off. Just like they fired the brother who went over to Palestine and said it's wrong what's happening to the Palestinians. And they says, oh, that's anti-Semitic. He says, no, I wasn't being anti-Semitic. I'm simply saying what is happening, the genocide that's happening to the Palestinians is wrong. And that's what he said. And he reported based upon when he went over there and saw with his own eyes. But he got in trouble for reporting the truth. So that's what happens. Um, Brother Elder Douglas says he's in the Son of the Most High party. Well, you know, that's why what the Messiah is doing is proving to mankind in 6 days or 6,000 years, you cannot have a perfect government. Cannot have a perfect government. Babylon was not a perfect government. When the Medes and the Persians came, not a perfect government. When the Greeks came, not a perfect government. And now that Rome is in charge, not a perfect government. That's why people overthrow governments. That's why it happens. And so what the Messiah is trying to say, when I come, it's going to be a dictatorship. You want to know what kind of government the Messiah is going to have? It's a dictatorship. That's what it's going to be. How you doing, Brother Gabriel? It's going to be a dictatorship. Somebody said, well, you mean what? It's a dictatorship. Trust me. If you read the Bible, when the Messiah comes, it's going to be a dictatorship. No joke. A dictatorship. That's what kind of government we're going to have. When in Zechariah it says there's going to be one law, one Lord. Paganism? Ain't going to be no paganism on this earth. You want to serve Buddha and Islam and all like that? No. You want to be a Baptist and a Methodist? It ain't going to be all of that. It's going to be one law, one government. And he says, whoever does not come up from one feast day to the next 3 times a year, everybody's got to appear. Everybody. The Sabbath will be the law of the land. That's the way it's going to be. It's a dictatorship. And I'm glad because I love the law of God. That's right. I love the law of God. So, because there's life in the law of God. And so, it ain't going to be all of these different parties and you're going to have elections every year. No. There's going to be one king over all kings who's going to sit on the throne of David forever. Talking about you're going to have an election every 4 years? No. Ain't going to happen. Not going to happen. Not during the government of the Most High. When the Messiah returns, when Jesus returns, he's going to be the king of all kings. When you read over in the book of John, he told his disciples, you will be rulers over the house of Israel. There's 12 tribes, 12 disciples. Each one will rule over one of the tribes or houses of Israel. That's what's going to happen. So, that's just the way it is. It ain't going to be, and then you're going to have kings under kings and rulers under rulers. That's what's going to happen in the kingdom. There's going to be judges and rulers, and that's how the kingdom is going to be set up. And if you're not a part of the government of God, by being in the first resurrection, you ain't nobody. You just one of the people. That's all. Just got to come up. And that's what's going to happen in the government of God. The government of God. But it's a good kind of dictatorship. But he already said, if you don't come up, whatever nation of the earth that does not come up from according as it is will be commanded, you'll be cut off. You'll be cut off. You won't be able to survive. Yeah. You know, it's like, in other words, you won't get your food. You won't get no food at all. Wow. It's going to be deep. That's deep. That's deep. Um, so there's not going to be a, um, people don't understand the kingdom of God and how it works because they're looking at dying and being a part of the kingdom from a um, religious indoctrination perspective. You think that you're going to be a part of the kingdom, you're going to be up in heaven, just rolling around all day, you know. Some people say, well, I can't wait to get to heaven. I'm just going to roll around heaven all day. Every day is going to be Sunday. Some people say, I'm just going to be in the choir of God, just rolling around and walking around on streets of gold. No, there is a society in the kingdom of the Most High. There's going to be rulers in the government in the kingdom of the Most High. All you got to do is read Isaiah, Ezekiel, Revelation. It tells you how the government is going to be set up. Yep. Yep. Some people think that when they get to the kingdom, they're going to be just having one great big church service forever. There's no Bible for that, people. There's no Bible for that at all. I don't know where you get this from. Well, I know where it comes from. It comes from the Roman church. That's where it comes from. I hate when people walk their dogs and they don't have the little green bag. I don't like that. So anyway, that's about the best I can tell you of what it describes, what the kingdom is going to be like. So some people think that people have died and they up in heaven now and they're looking down on us now. They've gone to be with the Lord. I don't certainly want to start another subject because I'm going to let you guys go. But it's just amazing how people just, even in the church from the pulpit, they'll say something about a pastor that died. He's gone to be with the Lord now. He gone on home to glory. He's gone on home to be with the Lord right now. You can't help. I mean, let me say this. I don't even have right to laugh about it because I used to think the same thing too. I really did. I used to think the same thing too. If you don't live right, in my mind, how I understood it, living right, the purpose of living right was to die and go home and be with the Lord. But that is Catholicism, which has no Bible to support that, when the Bible is telling you that I saw a kingdom come down from heaven. If it's coming down, where's it going to be at? Right here on this earth. It's so simple that when you think about it and read it, and it's telling you, every prophet is telling you the same thing. Revelation is telling you the same thing. Everything is telling you the same thing. I try not to be laughing in a condemning way, but when you see me laugh, it's because it's like everybody believes that. Everybody. But that's not what they're reading. That's not what they're reading. You don't read that. Anywhere in the scriptures, you read you read something on the other end of the spectrum that's totally different. And we don't teach that part. We don't teach that part. So, anyway, It was good chatting with you all this morning. Um, just want to say hello. You all hit that like button for us. Um, Minister Elder Douglas, it's good to see you, my brother. Good to see you. Um, I did a video called "Missing the Attendees." Man, you all was so great to us. Brother Gabriel, how you doing? Sister Tia, thank you always for what you do, doing research for us, always, and just what you do. Sister Tia helps me stay abreast of certain things that when I come to you, that I'm informed. If there's something hot out there that's fresh, she gets it to me, and I appreciate that. Brother Drawu, how you doing, Brother Drawu? Um, so to all of you, Drama Queen, just so many of you all here with us this morning. Thank you to all. Peace. We'll talk soon. We'll be coming back with some more good stuff today.